Welcome to the Learn From Us Investor Academy podcast.
Welcome to the Learn From Us Investor Academy podcast. My name is Seth Kirchanen. This is Paul. This is Andrew. We're here coming from the Mexican Villa in Manzanillo.
LuxuryZLO.com.
LuxuryZLO.com. I just had to tell Paul to put away his ointment because he has his ointment out in hand during the last podcast.
Was it during the last podcast? Wait,
don't worry, ladies. He's completely disease-free as far as we can tell.
Wait a second. Did I have it in my hand?
Yes.
Let's not get into the details of what it is. It's just a tube.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. It's just a lubricant of some sort. We started this off on a high note. Thanks, everyone, for watching the podcast, for listening to us on all the outlets, the iTunes, Spreaker, SoundCloud, all that jazz. If you want to see what we look like, it's not much, but it's on our YouTube channel, our Learn From Us YouTube channel. Paul brought up a topic that was pretty interesting. We constantly want to talk about new investors who are looking to get into real estate, finding that one good deal a year, and...
Who's our new investor in this group?
Well, it's me.
Oh, that's exciting.
And that was a hell of an idea.
Welcome to the party, Seth.
Yeah.
Can I take the lead here?
Wow. Go, Paul. Actually, let me
shouldn't-
take a sip of this jugo de pino and the crema de coca. Pina colada. Go,
Remember
Paul.
what?
Go ahead.
So we were here the last time when the deal was complete and you were working on a new partnership agreement potentially
Yeah.
with your good friend. So when you first bought the deal, how did it come about? What was your take on what you were going to do? Capital, work, etc. And then your business partner, I'm not going to name names, but tell me how that whole thing started, what even got you to go do it, and how that all worked out.
Yeah, so maybe a little background about myself. I'm 37. I've been married for 15 years. So I have a couple kids. I had a desk job, then became a photographer. And so I kind of have a work at home type position. My wife and I photograph weddings. So we do well in the world. I mean, we go on vacations. Nothing ever holds us back. And I wanted to start getting into some real estate. One of my good friends in Columbus does all the hard labor. He actually built our studio onto our home. He's a great guy. I mean, I love him like a brother, and he's great. So we decided, well, hey, why don't we partner up? He came into some money, a family friend. I don't know how he describes it. Like, apparently, her husband passed away, and unbeknownst to her, he was worth zillions of dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
And she didn't even know?
No.
Real tight marriage there.
Like, I'm talking millions. And I guess after they died, they found notes where literally my wife owes me 90 cents from X transaction.
Take it out of the will.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You talking about Andrew dying or somebody else died?
Is this a different Andrew?
No, this is different. Andrew's quite cheap.
So-
I could see him telling his wife, you owe me 84 cents from yesterday's meal.
It's efficient.
That's not efficient, actually. It's like the opposite of efficient.
So he came across some money. He had access to maybe 75 grand. And my sort of, under the mattress fund was about up to maybe $30,000. And so we decided, all right, let's go full tilt on this. Let's find something. Once we find a good deal, which we didn't know what is good and bad.
So how'd you go about finding it?
Well, we had a realtor friend that has been working with his side and that, that he trusts, and she's great. My wife's family hired her to sell a house in Columbus that they redid. And so, yeah. So I don't know if this house hit the market or if anywho, there was a little house on the west side of Columbus. And there's different neighborhoods that are better than others, and this was like
all cities.
Yeah, and this was sort of right on the fringe of a good one, and right on the fringe of turning into maybe not, what might be considered a less desirable neighborhood. And I can't remember the ins and outs of what it was selling for, but maybe it got listed for somebody passed away, and it got listed for maybe like $85,000. And so between us, we had about 100 something. And so when we first started, we said, well, if we can get in this house at 85, there wasn't much that wrong with it. It had so it had wallpaper from the 60s, the stairs to the second level, which was just like a long A-frame style room. Excuse me. The stairs basically you had to go into the master bedroom to go to the stairs, which is what they kind of did maybe in the 40s or 50s. I don't know. So
Bottom line is it's not acceptable today.
not at all. And so part of our mindset was we had to patch those stairs, turn the base of the stairs into a closet, and then get those stairs turn around and come the other direction to come out the kitchen. And so it was closed in, like, it was definitely not open. So it had anyway, we had to knock down a few walls and start some tender loving care. I would say that we initially didn't budget correctly, but I was going to help on the work. My friend
Was that the intention originally?
Yeah, I think so. So we got in at 85. This is our house.
How'd you do the analysis up front, though? What was the analysis that was done
Oh,
up front?
yeah. We thought comparables, with our realtors' help, we thought comparables, if this got fixed up and sold, it could sell for, we were hoping 140, 145. So 85, put 15 into it, sell for 145 was our goal.
So the budget to fix everything that you just talked about, 15,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's adorable. So 145, let's say, you pay 6% to a realtor. So call it $12,000 with all closing costs, everything. 135 into it for 100, or 133, I should say, 132 into it for 100. You net $30,000, $32,000 on 100 grand, 32% margin.
Yeah, and
That sounds pretty decent. I'm surprised you did that much work for $15,000.
Well, you guys were also doing a lot of the work yourself, you were saying?
we did, well, quote unquote, we did all the work. What had happened was, what happened after that
All
is,
good plans, right?
yeah. So what happened after that is, winter hit, which kind of slows down all Ohioans a little bit. And I ended up getting a different job. So it basically turned into, I couldn't help. And again, I've put in some tile, changed some toilets. But when it comes to, like, we open up the walls and there's bad electrical units, and then we find out the basement's leaky and things of that way. We found later that I really couldn't do much of that work. And so at some point I call my partner. I say, listen, my 1/3 on the back end, what we initially agreed upon for whatever profit we made, didn't really sound reasonable.
What was the original deal? Tell me the numbers, how much you were putting in, how much he was putting in, what percentage of the profit you were going to get, what percentage of the profit he was going to get, how much work were you going to each do? Do you remember that?
Well, I mean, I had to give sort of my whole 30.
Okay, so you invested 30, he did
Yeah.
70.
Yeah, 75.
But you said 85 and 15, which is 100.
Well, we had 105 to play with.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, and so anything after that, he was sort of covering.
At no extra equity.
Well, he was hopefully going to get his money back.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to get, if he had to put in $100,000 more, he wasn't going to get so much more equity. It was still going to be 70-30.
Yeah, after he got his money back.
Oh, it's still a pretty good deal for you.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
I don't mean it maliciously, but
No, sure.
of course.
Yeah,
right.
when you ask for numbers, they're not concrete because we didn't know what the hell we're doing.
Listen to that, kids.
So after we started cracking over walls, and like I said, electrical was a problem. It was just all wired, all crazy, all wrong. We knocked down some walls. We redid the kitchen, butcher block countertops. It looked beautiful. Can lighting. But, things started, like, more and more things started creeping up. And obviously the partnership wasn't working as well because I couldn't show up as much. And when it wasn't much of a help.
So did your partner resent that at all? Or
Yeah, for sure.
did he express that to you?
No, but he's not a very open person. So I actually went to him and said, listen, I'm not doing this. I know. I have to back off any sort of share. I backed it off. I basically backed it off to a 10% return on my money.
So basically you were like a bank for
Yeah, I just willingly said, like, listen, I'm not helping. I got this new job. Which
very
changed my
admirable
mind.
of you.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that really helped, but we had conversations afterwards that he still resented that afterwards, which is obvious. He was supposed to have help, and he really didn't. So the project took much longer than when we initially thought. And like you always say, once you start cracking open walls, the fact that there were more problems, we didn't really account for.
Right.
So he would say things like, "Yeah, I didn't account for electrical," and it's like, "Well, I certainly didn't account for it. I have no idea." And so when it was all said and done, we definitely put upwards of 25-30 into the house, which he covered.
So you were about 115-ish?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Maybe even more. I mean, and so the 140 was looking like not too much of a, and we were learning. We were okay with that, right?
But then
we decided, well, why don't we try and sell this ourselves? I have a little bit of internet savvy. I built some websites. I took pictures of the house, did some videos of the walkthroughs, videos of the house myself. Looked very nice, you know. And so we put it up on like with the help of Zillow, maybe some other thing, at 154.
what caused you to go to 154?
Looking at some comps around the funny part is like one road over, you have very nice houses and a little bit bigger yards. So it's kind of, I didn't know if we were spilling into that, but we just thought at 154.
So maybe the market got a little bit better while you were doing the work.
It took them 8 years to do the work.
Probably,
so in
yeah.
that time,
It took us October. Yeah, it took us like 8 months. 8 months. You know,
to do $30,000 worth of work.
Yeah,
40.
for one guy doing it himself.
That is true. Not charging labor, by the way. He was not charging his own
Not
labor.
charging
Andrew.
labor. So
so 30,000 was all material.
Yes.
yeah,
Which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, no labor. So tile, put a new bathroom upstairs, put closets in.
A very inefficient way to make money, however, understood and allowed you guys to make profit. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the first day we released it like noon on a Friday, and the first day three or four realtors started calling and said, "Oh, I might have some interest. My couple's looking in the area. House looks beautiful. We look okay. We got some interest." I don't know why we just didn't want to go through a realtor. Maybe we just wanted to save money. And the realtor ended up calling us and saying, "I can get this house sold for $179," and we're like, "Wow, that'd be incredible." And so
I remember when you called me and told me that. I said, well, we'll see. That's good. And then what happened?
I mean, the house sold in a week. She put it up on every outlet that realtors do.
And by the way, there was a great realtor who sat there and said, "You're not." Yeah, she could have easily called you and said something else. And she said, "You're not asking enough money. Go list this thing higher."
She gave us a little bit of discount because I took the old pictures and she didn't have to do anything. So it was like ready listed. It's like, here you go. I'll send you over the photos. The house sold in a week.
At 179?
179.9.
Wow.
And so,
Seth dropped the mic on that one.
and so, what was I going to say? There was a little bit of like, it's so high that the bank actually didn't. So what was it when someone comes by and
Appraised
appraises?
it?
Yeah. The appraiser didn't appraise it at that price. They were taking comps of much lower houses that were still stuck in the old form, the 1960s form. So I think once we passed some of those hurdles, it ended up selling for that much. I didn't get very much on the back end. You know, I think I got maybe a 17% return on my $30,000.
Which is still pretty decent for 8-9 months. But
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, so one of the things I want to accentuate in this whole deal when I would
Go
talk
ahead.
about it was, if you come to us ahead of time and you said to me, "Paul, how do I arrange this?" It'd been a lot more organized. And even your partner later on said, "Hey, we didn't really set this up ahead of time the right way." Not only that, I actually wonder how would the deal have gone, et cetera. I'm not saying we would have done a better job of the deal. It might have been one of those situations where we're sitting with pocket 2 with 7, you're sitting with pocket aces, and it happened to work out. You know what I mean? But doing it that way is probably going to be in the long run not as effective as doing it with a systematic process. Even asking you how much you're in the house for, I don't really remember, blah, blah, blah. With our software and everything we're going to do, you're going to know exactly what you're in every single property for. We're going to show you how to set up your QuickBooks, how to sell your bill pay up, all that stuff where you know exactly what you're in a property for, because people tend to think they make more money than they actually do. You're here saying, it actually might have been more we were into the house for, and you're being honest about that, which is great. But it shows that a PhD in chemistry, and I'm not here to attack you, a PhD in chemistry didn't know how much he was in the property for, et cetera, and just wung it, and it worked out great. But I think since you've been working with us.
Wung it?
Yeah, didn't you say you wung it?
The past tense of wing?
Yeah, isn't that the past tense of win is wung it?
Oh, I
Winged it?
No, not winged.
you better check your source.
You think
on
it's
that.
winged?
I've been a lot.
We got Darnell
What's
over
the
here.
past tense of
He is-
shit? It's shat. Wing wung. You wung
I've
it.
been alive for a long time. I've just never heard a human being say that they wung it.
Please hold. You've never heard anybody say you wung it. I'm sure I've said it to you.
Andrew, have you heard that? We wung?
I actually haven't heard it.
I mean, winging it.
And I've known Paul
or
here for
winged
a
it.
long time. I've never heard the one.
Let's listen. That's not what people are paying us to know about
I
vocabulary.
want to get no time out. I want to set this up because this is important. Conjugation of wing. That's Spanish.
Wing is a verb.
Predator is winged.
Oh, winged.
Hang on a second.
I'll take
Past
it.
tense of winged it. Word reference
We'll,
form.
we'll stick with the first answer.
I mean,
Seth,
I don't mean to bring it up, but he did. Yeah, sorry, Andrew. Yeah.
No, I was
Let's
going to
I'm
comment
just
on.
wunging it.
well, son of a bitch.
Okay, go ahead,
Oh,
Andrew.
hold on. Now let's pause.
It's actually, but the past tense of swing is swung. I think I have a good valid reason why I believe this.
Fail.
Folks listening or watching,
Fail.
this is actually Paul's first mistake. So,
First off,
Andrew,
can I
what
make
were
a
you gonna
comment?
say?
Can I make a comment?
There's multiple ways to skin a cat. Andrew, what were you going to say?
Well, does Paul want to just wung something here real quick, or how do I use that?
You winged it. Saying winged it sounds so stupid. It's unbelievable.
Well, Wang Wang.
Exactly.
Wang Chung.
Exactly.
Go, Andrew. What
This
were
is
you
my
gonna
first
say?
time being wrong. It's just around these people. It's probably the first time I've been wrong around them.
So I know Paul was talking about PhD in chemistry and all that kind of stuff. The idea is it's not like whatever we're about to do, flipping a home or something, it's going to be rocket science. Like you said, you walked in, we're going to fix this, fix this. There's always
chemistry, not rocket science.
there's unknowns, and some of that working with people working with us, it just helps to have someone ask you the right questions. Paul brought up with your partnership where you're like, it didn't go right. What if you guys had an agreement ahead of time of how much he would make when he was
Absolutely.
working on it, and how much you'd make when you
well,
were working
in
on it?
fairness, based on the conversations later, it's not criticism of him.
Yeah.
I don't know they would come to an agreement that would have worked. I think he should have been paid for his labor or a higher
Accordingly.
higher percentage of the profit. Because Seth, you and I have talked about possibly doing things together and saying, hey, if you do all the work, you're going to get a higher percentage of the profits based on equal money because you're doing the work. But you can't get paid for your labor and get a higher percentage of the profits. You're double dipping.
Will you back off that mic a smidge?
Back off?
Well, you get really fired up.
You
and then,
literally
like,
told me the
I
other
know,
day, I will
I know.
never ask you to get further away from the mic.
You're spiking it though. Here, you're all fired up.
Well, I
No,
won it.
Looking back, I mean, there probably could have been 25 at a base things that I could have got help and guidance with.
But you still did a great job, and most people when they screw up, a la Andrew and I, we tend to lose money when we screw up. You, quote unquote, screwed up, and you made money. 17% in 8 months.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
And by the way, our worst homes were our first homes.
Yep. Now we're trying to skip steps with everybody
Sure.
and say,
You learn from mistakes.
Now I always heard from some of my friends who were getting in their first, flips is that you have to be very clear because you don't want to. I mean, it could have somewhat hurt our friendship. When it got into money and who put more of an effort in, we definitely had discussions that probably didn't help the friendship. Obviously, thankfully, we've recovered where we both settled on. I mean, we talked about doing it again, and we're probably not.
so that's a great conversation. We have Darnell and Andrew and Rahman here, right? And we're all buddies here. Hey, how many times have we all had arguments and fights? Some, Andrew?
They're there.
They're there. Even
Rahman doesn't fight though.
Rahman doesn't, but me, Darnell, and Andrew, me and Andrew versus Darnell, me versus Andrew, me versus Darnell, Darnell versus Andrew, we've had major disagreements with like yelling and everything like that. But if you have that division of where the friendship and the business ends, then it's okay. Look at, we're all here on vacation together, right? We all have a great time. But up front, we're trying to be much better about saying, what are the rules up front that make it go better, and et cetera. And once you figure out those lines, it's okay. You can't criticize anybody for making a business decision, right? You just can't.
I think one of the things that he was caught up with was that, he brought up the idea that once we cracked open and found more problems we didn't count on, that's when it got more money, had more time and effort.
And what was my response to that?
Right. And so, yeah, someone like you would say, well, I remember you tell me, it's like when you look at certain deals, you have to it's a contractor's job to factor that in.
Right.
You don't like hearing that from contractors.
Well, the reason being is you were the expert. You went through the house. My comment to you was, and by the way, I defended him on a lot of things, but my comment to you was, well, he was the one that bragged about being the expert in construction. He went through the house. You can't all of a sudden go, well, we opened it up and lots of stuff was there. Like, well, I wasn't going to find that. You know what I mean? It's like I relied on you. That was my thing, and that's where I got a little. But
And there may
again,
be some things that he wasn't going to find. But
correct.
that's why we always say, and that's what
But
you
he
were
can't
hinting
resent
at.
you for it.
Right, but you were sitting there, Seth, saying, that's what you guys always talk about. Yeah, you have to always account for the unknown. The thing that we hate hearing
I
is
didn't
like,
even think, had I had your guidance, I don't even think we knew of the unknowns. We didn't even know the possible range of unknowns that could have come up. And so, yeah, I mean.
And you'll see a lot of other unknowns that you won't even see now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen a lot of unknowns, but at the same token, if you do another deal, which you we probably end up doing because you seem to like it, you'll find other things that happen that you just go, oh shit, I didn't even see that one coming.
Yeah. So all in all, it was definitely an interesting process.
And you made 17%.
Yeah, I would have liked to had more help, and I think obviously clarity on the front end and could have helped us a bunch.
So what's going to make you do it again?
Well, I do like the idea of ownership in something and taking a pride in a project like that. You know, I did get into it as much as I could. Him and I have different lives. He's not married, no kids, and I got a new job, and so I guess I had factors that came in that I didn't think I'd
But
have.
you were fair about it. You went to him and said, "Hey, listen, I'm not going to be able to honor my end of the deal. Let's change this." Like that's the thing. And I was hearing your side.
Sure.
But you told me, hey, once I realized I couldn't do this, I went to him and said, hey, I can't do this anymore. We can figure something out. And I thought that was very admirable of you. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, I understand that,
He ended up doing a house basically by himself and so he couldn't, he ended up taking other work, which took away from our house, but he ended up taking other work to make money to put back in that house to finish the house.
Right.
And so that's where the resentment on his end came up. And so thankfully it worked out well price-wise. So
did you enjoy the process?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the process. I don't think he did as much because he was throwing the hammer and getting dirty. And so
what did you like about the process?
That's a good question. Like I said, I did like the idea of I definitely like taking pride in something, like there was an older lady, a divorced older lady next door that basically let the trees all around her house completely grow up almost over everything. And so I would go out there with a hacksaw and I cut down like her whole side yard because it was like falling over into our driveway. And she comes out, brings us like, little sandwiches and terrible like mayonnaise and bologna sandwiches.
Hopefully she fried the bologna.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, so like taking pride in something like that is something good. It's just, so the ownership aspect, yeah, it's interesting.
How do you think your outlook on the whole situation would have changed if you sold it for what you thought you were going to sell it for? If you sold it for that 145, maybe even 150?
Well, I don't think we initially factored in all the things that you guys would know about on the back end. So, realtor fees, realtor fees, closing costs, all that stuff. And we weren't really like dead set on that knowledge of what those would be. So, yeah, the extra 30K, 30 or 40K was just icing on a cake that thankfully went well.
For sure.
But it could have went
But the
bad.
interesting part to me is, how is there such a disconnect between your guys' original number and a realtor's number? Usually we find it to be the other way around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And boy, that was a big difference in number.
Oh, you know what it was? There was a nicer house 2 doors down that didn't sell at 145. More yard, bigger house, looked nicer. I don't know if it was redone on the inside.
Maybe it was mispriced. I mean, people misprice things all the time.
Yeah. But so I was like, well, it'd be great if we could get that. Maybe it did sell. I don't know. But it'd be great if we could get that. And so that was our initial thought. And then yeah, it was nice when it turned out that way.
That's a very rare occurrence amongst amateurs. Amateurs usually think their house is going to sell for more than it actually will. When in your situation, it was actually the opposite, where, if we'd said, okay, what are the comps? You said, well, 145. Like, okay, well, that's we would have told you that's a little tight.
Yeah, in a similar story, my sister-in-law, Beth's sister, her husband, they had a house they've been living in for a while. It got very run down because they had renters in it, and then he sort of fell on a little harder times and had to move back in the house, get the renters out, and he had to move in a house, and he never fixed it up. So it got trashed over the years. Just like doors were hardly closing, leaky faucets and sinks everywhere. The kitchen was almost unusable, and so they wanted out, but they still owed like $90,000 on it. I remember at the time I was like, well, I was talking to Dan. I was like, I'll offer you $60,000 on this house. He's like, well, I still owe 90. They literally wanted to buy the house across the street. So at the time, Beth's dad basically kind of bailed them out. Like he said, look, I'll give you the 90 for this house. He owns about 13 properties and has done multiple flips over the past 30, 40 years. So he basically did them a great solid and bought the house for 90. And they're head over heels thankful, like, I can never pay you back. That gave them a nice down payment to get the next house. Now they're living in a very, very nice house across the street. And Beth's dad was thinking the same thing. Well, I'm going to fix this up, and if I can get 110 out of it, maybe 120. And over the next 6 months, he does all the work by himself, opens a house up, 179.9.
He killed it.
Sold in 3 days, 179.9.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and all of Marysville, which I don't know. I mean, they have a big high school.
Honda plant.
Yeah, they have the Honda
That's
plant.
exactly what I said to them.
There's like 2 houses for sale up that way. Like there's no real estate open, so it just went like. And then so we had a celebratory dinner, because Dad, had a great return on the house that he basically did by himself, and he enjoyed it. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's a good time. It was a good time to sell, and obviously we've discussed in previous podcasts about the home flipping market is settling back down. So
Yep.
what does that tell you about what's going on?
Well, it tells us that prices are going to start decreasing and less amateurs are hoping
Like
the market.
myself.
I mean, yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, I mean
course.
that's what hurts us. I mean, we're competing against the guys who can do work themselves and go, oh, we put 20 grand in the house. I'm like, how'd you put 20 grand in the house? Oh, it was all material. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if I didn't have ambitions to be a much bigger company, I would just do my own home flips. If I could do the work myself, saying that'd be great. It'd be wonderful to see the work being done, do it myself. It's my time. So basically, the cash in my pocket's gonna be a lot less. I'll make a killing.
Yeah, I
But
think
that's the same point.
Sure.
If you're not sitting there and putting time away, the person you were working with, he had to go away from those paying jobs where he was making money
Yeah.
to spend time over here. So that's the difficult part.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyway, it was interesting, but yeah, I'm looking to with your guys' guidance move forward, and yeah, so I can't really put a pinpoint on what I really loved about it, but as you keep saying, like all wealthy families own real estate. It's not like a surprise. So
You know what I love about flipping? Taking something from shit and making it awesome.
maybe that's part of it too.
I think
you
that
know?
might be part. I mean, I think the artist in you might appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was okay and great. But
It was great. It was great.
so, is that it, guys?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm sick of hearing from you.
Me too. Thanks everyone for following us. That was just one story of a dummy who doesn't know what they're doing and getting into real estate. And like I said, I would have loved to have your help back then. This was a year and a half ago. So
You knew me.
get into it. Yeah.
All right.
Follow us as always on
Hot mic.
Facebook, on Instagram at Paul Gabriel, Paul_Gabriel,
Yep.
on Facebook at The Real Paul Gabriel. And yeah, follow us on the Learn From Us Investor Academy YouTube page, Facebook group. You'll get more info about us.
And this podcast was brought to you by Neosporin.
Is that what it says?
There we go. That's exactly what it says.
I can't read that far.
We won't tell you where he's putting that. So thanks, guys, for thanks for the help, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.